I've spent so much time hoping if I just change this or do that, he'll be the man he was in the beginning. I try to give him so much patience, but it's never enough. Is it possible to have a healthy and loving partnership with someone who has NPD traits, or am I wasting my time?
This is a complicated question, but no. Let's talk about why. Narcissism is comprised of highly disrupted relational personality traits. And this means that more often than not, a narcissist cannot have a healthy relationship. And even if in the future that narcissist is capable of deep, powerful change, because we're not going to say that's not possible, you will still likely never feel fully safe depending on the level of abuse or harm you endured with that relationship. But I think it's important that we talk for a moment about how personality traits are different than symptoms of mental health. Narcissism is not a mental health condition, it is a personality condition. Mental health symptoms are challenging internal experiences that come and go, or they increase or decrease in intensity based on the current state of our health and stress. Personality traits, however, are embedded into our personality. It's who we are. Narcissistic traits are personality traits. They're not symptoms, they're not an illness. They're a personality presentation that's comprised of traits of a grandiose sense of self importance, which means they see themselves as better than others, fantasies of entitlement, which means they believe they deserve everything they want when they want it, belief in superiority over others, which means they think that they hold power and a position and hierarchy above, need for admiration, which means they thrive on compliments and praise, willingness to exploit others, which means they are totally fine with hurting other people to get their needs met, a lack of empathy, which means they do not have the ability to imagine another person's emotional experience, and frequent envy or anger over what they can't have. And these things are not something that the person struggles with. In fact, when you see most narcissists, they don't think that they have narcissism because they think all of this stuff makes perfect sense. Their lived experience makes sense. It's a component of who they are. Think of a personality trait of yours, right? Imagine you're curious or adventurous or funny or serious. And now imagine you had to just stop being that. You're just going to stop being adventurous. You're just going to stop being funny. That's not really possible, you know? And imagine if these personality traits are of great value to you because they make you feel powerful and in control. They help you get what you want. They help you evade consequences. Why would you ever have an incentive to change? Narcissists are so great in the beginning of a relationship because in the beginning of most narcissistic relationships, this honeymoon phase, the narcissist is almost always engaging in a manipulation tactic called love bombing. And this is where they present as the perfect partner. They shower you with praise and love. They convince you that you will never be happy with anyone else. It's intense, and it can create an incredibly intense attachment in the beginning of the relationship. Now, sometimes this act is reflexive. They're not doing it on purpose. Think of it more as like an unskilled, unaware person, like imitating the things that they're supposed to do to get a partner. It's still insidious, it's still manipulative, and it's still harmful. But in their mind, it's almost like this innate mocking of like, this is what I'm supposed to do to get a person close to me. And then they drop the act once they feel confident that their partner won't leave. But others love bomb very intentionally. They know they're pretending to be a good partner. They know they're putting on a mask. And they know that they're going to be harmful to you later on in the relationship. But the reason that no narcissist ever returns to who they were at the start of the relationship is because that's not who they are. That version was an act to entrap you. And narcissists are not capable of what we call reciprocity or mutual care in a relationship. And so, as a part of our understanding of narcissists, they are unable to value the needs of other people, and they rarely have the ability to meet other people's needs unless there's some benefit for themselves, because they're hyper consumed with their own needs, extending to the most extreme as being willing to harm others just for the sake of fulfilling their own desires. And so, because of this, they simply cannot extend mutual care and respect in the relationship. They're likely incapable of even recognizing your needs, let alone caring enough about them to try and meet them. And in more insidious cases, they are aware that they're not meeting your needs. And they like it because it bolsters up their need of superiority. Narcissists often don't care about hurting their partners. Now, I want to be mindful. Everything I say about narcissistic personality is based on a strong understanding that none of this research can be applied universally. Still a lot we don't know about narcissists. They're not exactly marching in the door ready to be studied, right? However, one common thread in understanding narcissistic abuse is that they likely don't care that they're hurting you. They know they're doing it. They feel entitled to do it for a multitude of reasons. They benefit from doing it because it gives them a sense of power and control. And they get relief and narcissistic supply from harming you. Some even get sexual gratification from harming you. They will almost always value their own wins, no matter how much of a loss it is to you. And so most mental health professionals don't really believe that narcissists can change into healthy partners. We want them to get help. We want them to get care. We want them to develop insight. Maybe one day they can have less disruptive relationships, but they likely cannot heal in the relationship where they're benefiting from hurting you. Change is hard. Change takes repetition and intention. Narcissists benefit from being narcissists. They get all their needs met. They always have someone they can take their stuff out on. They get to be viewed as superior or powerful. And for those that are more malignant, they get to take their darkest fantasies or desires out on someone. They get to unleash the full pain they feel inside outwards onto another person. They benefit too much to ever willingly seeking out to change. What would they have to gain? And so, if you ask yourself, what would I need to do to make this person who they once were? Nothing, because they were never that person. And if it's like, how do I get them to see my pain? We don't want them to see our pain because they're going to benefit from the fact that you're in pain. We have a series that I completed here with Unfiltered about narcissistic romantic relationships, where there's like a deeper exploration into the theories of how someone might become a narcissist and why it's so hard for them to change. And so that's a really great place to get more information on this dynamic.
I have one question about this. All that you just said, again, makes like perfect sense. My question is that why do we believe so strongly that we can have a healthy and loving relationship with them, even after everything that's happened in the relationship, all the harm and, all the chaos and all that? Is it just because of the strong love bombing beginning? But then at the same time, I don't think so, because sometimes I hear from people that the love bombing was nearly non-existent, or,
Mm-hmm.
it's not always very dramatic love bombing. So why is it so hard to accept that they won't change and the relationship can't become healthy, even with this information that you just shared with us?
I'd say that there's multiple reasons. There's a few threads coming forward in my mind, but there's tons of reasons. The first I'm going to say is the way that we're socialized about relationships. Don't give up, just keep trying, put in the work, save the relationship. The connection is more important than to each individual people, right? We're kind of taught that if there's problems in your relationship, there's always a solution. There's always a solution, just keep trying. And the reality is there are some things that just can't be solved, right? But that's one piece, is our socialized message around relationships. Another piece is we've invested a lot of time and energy and emotions into this person. We call it the sunk cost fallacy. I've already done so much. I've already endured so much that if I just leave now, what was all of that for? But if I could just stick it out and I hold on to this fantasy that one day it will be worth it, that like almost false hope keeps us connected. The third, I hear people say this all the time, but what if they become healthy for the next person? I did all of that work, and what if they go on and they have a healthy relationship with another person? I'm just going to stick around until it's for me. That's not real. You're not a rehabilitation center. You're a partner, okay? And I think that's important. Another reason why it's hard for us to believe is if we have low self-esteem or like a trauma history, or we really do believe we are the cause of bad things, then we might believe them when they say, like, well, this isn't working because you're not doing the right thing. Just keep trying. Like, we might genuinely in our core believe, all right, well, the relationship's not working because of me. So I just got to keep trying and trying and trying. And the last one, I'll say the fifth, again, there's an infinite number of reasons, but the fifth could be, when someone's like a huge jerk but then they're nice to you, you're like, ooh, what did I do to get that special treatment? Right? That like dynamic can happen in the context of a relationship of like, if this person could treat me so awful, how great would it feel if they could finally be a kind, loving person? I'm just going to stick around until I get that feeling. And all of this links back to this idea of like a trauma bond where we can become so addicted to how good it feels when they treat us good. And, it's a complicated answer.